Every conversation can and will elevate you. It's where real talk meets real growth. Welcome back to Level Up. Today, I have a guest, Zoe. She is a really special guest that I'm really looking forward to have a conversation with. She's currently a marketing advisor at Gain, supporting travel, hospitality, and MICE companies to make marketing sharper, more strategic, and more impactful, and a lot into visibility. I'm going to come to this during the call as well. Zoe, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Very excited.
I want to always start, with a simple question because, of course, I got to know you earlier and I know your profile, but for the audience who doesn't know you, like maybe a quick introduction, what you do and what you're working on currently.
I'm all about blending personal and professional life. So that was a bit of a trick comment. As a person, I'm a mother. I'm a Greek English woman living in Barcelona. I'm passionate about writing, creating a life that I love. I take everything with both hands and I enjoy my life. That's the most important thing. Coming on to me as a professional, I'm a marketing advisor, said at Gain. I work a lot with all areas of marketing for B2B tech providers. So me working on the software and tech side with our clients being hoteliers. And I also have really leaned into helping people to feel more comfortable with being visible online, which kind of marries my interest in people in general and self-development. And also it's just good for business. So it works both ways. That's me.
I fully agree. Thank you so much. I fully agree with you with visibility online. It's been a journey even for myself, to do that. And sometimes, you struggle of the amount of time to be visible and when I should post, what I should. So we're going to come through this, but I want to go to a post you shared recently. You said you doubled your salary. So I'm really inspired by it. What was the moment that you decided and how did you actually decide to achieve that as well?
So in all honesty, it was something that occurred to me pretty much on the spot. Okay. It came out of the blue at the time and still am very ambitious, always working on knowing my worth, always working on giving the best to the people that I work with. And so I have that kind of strong belief. So I think it did come up from a place of belief, but I also think that you need to be strategic in the workplace. And one of the areas that I find that people really struggle with is making those big, bold moves to say, I'm not going to reveal my current salary and I'm going to aim for the stars. Or it might be that they're doing fantastic work. I've seen this time and time again, but neither do they speak to their managers about it, nor do they speak to their colleagues about it, nor do they publicly speak about it, which for me is actually the most valuable part, because when you speak to it's important to manage up, but when you speak online about what you're doing, and it can be in a very humble, non-braggy way, you're speaking one to many, to potentially a billion if you're on LinkedIn, right? So I think it's really important for people to express what they're doing, express how they're helping people, what their work process is. Because if you don't tell people what your value is, it's not even that people don't care. People do care. It's people are busy. So you need to kind of market yourself in order to get a piece of that pie.
You're absolutely right. And I think it's definitely something the industry is missing. Like there's so much, let's say, hidden stories about a lot of good skills, good experiences, good, people with background. And yeah, we get busy in life and work and families and kids and all that. But I'm really inspired and definitely something that I'm trying to do myself. Of course, I need to work on that as well more. But it's good to see that you are already on that path. And that led me to the next sort of question. It's about your framework. You have a framework that you work with. Of course, I looked into your LinkedIn and what you do. It's about words, people, and stories. You literally brand yourself around these words, which is really interesting and also powerful and so deep. So if I want to ask you, break that down a little bit for somebody who's listening, want to understand more about this.
So my framework, I have never met somebody who doesn't have something to say. Like, it just doesn't exist. Every single person is a world of their own, both in and outside of work. So the challenge is that people usually find it hard to express that or to define that, because we can't see what the label on the bottle from inside the bottle, right? That classic phrase. So the very first place I start with any of my clients is to understand them, to have a really long chat about who they are, what their goals are, what they're doing in and outside of work, what their kind of brand vibe would be, kind of really get into the nitty gritty of who that person is. Once we've got over that, and to be honest, that is one of the biggest hurdles, then we can talk about posting frequency, posting
Yeah.
time, the different types of contents you can use. But usually it's about getting people to understand that they have a story and then helping them to be confident enough to post it. Everything else kind of comes naturally. And I'd also say that when you start to post and be more visible online, it helps you to not just know your story, but own your story.
Nice.
And through the process, it's actually, I don't want to overestimate posting online, but it's kind of a form of therapy. And I'm not the only person that said that. I've experienced that for myself. Like, the more you are transparent and authentic with how you show up online, the more you are in your real life. And the more, going back to that first question, who am I outside or inside of work? I do feel that the more we can join those personas, and that usually means bringing a bit more of our real selves into work, the more enriching we can be. And actually, we can just stand out because there's like a million people out there just being, corporate Kevin on the keyboard,
Yes. Yes.
or chat GPTing it. Like,
Yeah.
why not say who you really are and enjoy it in the process?
That's really nice. I love that. It's really true. You said it earlier, like everyone has something to say, everyone has a story. And I think you're right, because a lot of also companies probably nowadays, or a lot of individual using AI. I'm using AI, don't get me wrong. I'm using AI every day. I'm using AI for that podcast as well. But you got to really always make a balance to connect it to your own story, because otherwise it's just a copy of another story. But I want to hear it from you. What are your plans when it comes to the company visibility, and how you actually sort of structure that?
So, yeah, it's a really good two questions there, I guess. One about, the confidence to post, and the other one about company visibility. So the confidence to post, my recommendations are always that if you have a post and you're not sure whether to post it, you should generally hold on to it. And now I've held on to posts for over 12 months sometimes. I posted one
Wow.
on January the 1st this year, and I hadn't posted that image that I wanted to post last January the 1st. It just wasn't the right time for me. But guess
Mm,
what? I used it this year. So I feel that the most precious thing that any person has in their life is emotional bandwidth. Okay. So if a post is going to take up your emotional bandwidth that you could be using for yourself or your children or your job, if it's going to take up too much of that, it's not worth the price. So just
mm,
hang on to it. Don't post it at a later date, whatever. So that's always my barrier for should I post or not. Saying that, of course, I'm trying to give people confidence for them to be themselves. So, we're in a balance there. When it comes to companies, I work between the company page and the founder or executive personal branding. So company page, is about, again, just as personal branding, finding the pillars, finding, the messaging, the positioning of that company, which is from my product marketing background, really getting into what your clients are saying, who you're speaking to, and all those points that you would do with any marketing. And it's fairly straightforward. We want to make that brand humanized. We want to give that
mm.
brand a voice. We want to give that brand, something that sort of stands it out from other brands. A little bit more easier, let's say, than founder branding, but the thing is that a company page will never, ever, ever get the reach that a founder's company profile will never. So at the same time, it's about, helping the founders to, again, find their voice, what they want to talk about. Now, when you're a founder, it seems to be even harder to post online, especially if you haven't been posting so far, because you feel that all eyes are on you, right? You're the
Yeah.
spokesperson of the company. But, it's like over 80% more trust in a brand that has a CEO that posts online that doesn't in the B2B world.
Wow.
80%. So it's not a nice to have. It's actually an essential today to
Yes.
have a strong founder brand. Like, I can't say it enough. So I will work with those founders. Again, I don't believe in AI writing for them or necessarily writing for them. I'll write with them. So I have
Yeah.
one-to-one meetings with them each week. I'll find out what they've been saying with their clients, what their journey is, and then we'll work together to create a post because at the end of the day, it has to be about them. So we've got the company page, we've got the founder brand, and then if the company has a team, because I'm working with startups who are literally like a founder and a bunch of developers, all the way to, scale ups and also some enterprise. If we do have a team, and that's fantastic, every single one of your team members should be a brand ambassador, because every one of your team members has this insane reach between them that literally no marketing budget I've ever come across can buy.
Yes.
Like you couldn't cover it with a marketing budget. And anyway, you wouldn't believe it because it'd be paid advertising. So human beings posting is so much more credible than anything we can do from marketing. So I'll work with the teams as well to get them to understand why, being visible on LinkedIn is important to them first and foremost as professionals, but also to the company that they're working with, and not just reposting things, but having a voice. So
Yeah.
yeah, I work in those 3 areas where I work in a company.
It's really interesting. And it got in my mind that a lot of companies, for example, would depend on the main page will post something and then everybody will repost it, like all the company. So for me also, when I look at that, sometimes like, okay, just take the time and add something, like tell anything. But
Definitely.
you're right. And do you think with AI, of course, the rise of AI affect the storytelling in your work? Have you seen that, or how do you balance actually that?
It's great for what I'm doing because the more people use AI, the even more the people that I work with will stand out. So I'm not against AI. Go ahead. Everybody use AI posts because actually it suits my founders even better when they use
Nice.
their resources.
I love that.
Within that, obviously, the caveat is if you want to stand out online, you just can't use AI in your posts. Like we're all, it maybe worked a year ago, maybe, but now we can just see through it. And I don't know about you, but when I read an AI written post, there's something about it that almost doesn't sit in my brain. I just skim it. I know it's AI. I could have probably done the same post by putting the right prompt. So what value does
You're
that
right.
really?
I have to say, I found it in the beginning. I used AI, of course, and I'm not gonna lie, I posted a lot of AI posts, but then I was like, I need to connect to what I'm doing. I need to connect to actually make sure it aligns with what I'm saying and the story that I want to share. So definitely, I try to always use it, to assist me in structuring, the post, but not really writing the post. So that's actually something that I use it for. But also a lot of now LinkedIn profile, like you said, you will read a lot. Okay, that's like very easy to kind of
Yeah.
capture right now versus the true kind of storytelling, which is again connects back to the core of this industry or any industry, is the human being, is the human connection, which a topic that I've been talking about in most of my podcasts.
don't want to I don't want to constantly criticize AI in some people's writing because the truth is, some people are not native speakers. Some people have dyslexia. Some people,
Exactly.
so it has its uses for ideation. It has its uses for spell checking. It has its uses for, like you say, structuring maybe, or maybe just defining like, have I got too many ideas in one post? Because really you should have one message in one post, right? It should never be various messages. So it definitely can be used. It's not an all or nothing, is it? But I'd rather a shorter, realer post than one of those really long essays written by AI.
What would be your advice based on your experience?
My advice is content is everywhere. Like you can't walk out of your front door without there being content. It's just you need to start to switch your mind onto it. And I think it's a more creative, more narrative way of seeing the world that is not gonna take time away or do, terrible things to your business if you start to think, oh, that's how I could put that together, or that's a great picture. Take pictures every single day. Get a notes app on your phone. Write some ideas down. Save the posts on LinkedIn that you think are valuable and then just think about why. There are small things that we can do every day. It's not just about a big blast of content creation once a week. There are just tiny, tiny actions that we can take every day to inspire ourselves. And it's like anything. Once you start going to the gym regularly, going to the gym becomes easy. Once you start eating right regularly,
Right.
it The
to
body
have it.
wants that. And it's the same with content creation or even just ideation, right? Once you start to see content and consume the right content, your mind starts to naturally think of it. And I think there's nothing better than expressing yourself to other humans in a way that connects with them and supports your business, if you want to
Yes.
tie a business outcome to it.
That's so true. And do you think there's like a minimum visibility of routine that should leader, follow, or even on an individual
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just posting once a week, statistically, you're already in the top 2%. It's a statistic that
Well,
people say all the time, but it's true. Yeah. That's how little content there is. In fact, there's not enough content out there. And that's why sometimes, depending on the state of the algorithm, we're seeing, very old content. Sometimes we scroll so much. Not me, obviously. This is not by experience,
me,
but it totally is. But we'll see very old content because some people say the reason they don't want to post is they don't want to crowd or clog up the feed. Well, you're not crowding or clogging up the feed. There's not enough content out there. So what a great opportunity. Well, there's still a need for content before everybody has cottoned onto that to create content and be easily visible. So I would say absolutely minimum would be to post once a week. You're gonna be there with posting once a week. Now, I post almost every day, and a lot of people who are like me, who are independents, post almost every day, but I have a different business model. So I want to stay top of mind, like, continuously. Plus, I really enjoy it, so it's not a problem. But what I would really recommend to people to do is to comment almost every day if they can, because
yeah,
posting will get you a certain amount of visibility depending on your network. Or if you write a really great post, or if your post goes viral, fantastic. Loads of people will get to see that one post. But if you comment strategically and you do that every day, it's the biggest, best way to supercharge your network, to grow your
I
network, to
agree.
increase awareness. Like, commenting for me, if I was to advise a founder to do one thing, it would be to comment intelligently and strategically for 10 minutes a day. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Sort of follow that, let's say, scale of commenting in the right time on the right post. And it does work definitely, especially if you want to reach out to somebody or to a decision maker. Let's go to give an example in sales. I was in sales, of course, still in sales, but when I was working in sales and hotels, of course, if I want to reach to a buyer, you can just think of there is hundreds of salespeople are sending thousands of messages on daily basis. So people really don't really look at it. Like the buyers, they don't really look at all these messages. And a lot of them just delete it or not even go through it. So I think what really worked out is I always try to connect and by commenting, on something that makes sense. Not just any comment, of course, that if something that is related to hotel or industry or sustainability or whatever, I will try to find the right, moment to comment, and then this engagement starts. And once the engagement starts, then you can make the connection. And it's interesting because I wanted to ask you, do you think LinkedIn is a platform where you can actually find business, like, or is it a networking sort of platform? What do you think about it, actually?
It's a networking platform. It's a platform to find jobs on, and it is the biggest, most opportunities marketplace, B2B marketplace we have in the industry. Like, it
Yes.
is truly a marketplace. I think it's really moved on. I mean, it was jobs, right? Then it was networking, and now it's a marketplace. And I think what you said is completely true. Like, where else could you literally find your target person? And you might even be the only person to comment on their post. I mean, I've seen, and by the way, there's plenty of hoteliers on there and they're posting and they don't get any comments at all. You could be the
Yes.
only person to comment and they are guaranteed to see your comments. So even if they don't respond to you in the DMs, they can see your name. They know your name. That already gives you a slightly warmer lead than the person who's just dropping into the DMs. So I think for sales, although I'm not a LinkedIn sales specialist traditionally, I do work with sales teams to help them on making sure that their profile is up to date and interesting if somebody does go to their profile page, because the last thing we want is somebody goes to your profile page and they don't know what you do or how to contact you,
Yeah.
right? Basics, how to create a commenting strategy, how to create their own little ABM strategy where they might have their target accounts and who are the decision makers at these target
Yes.
accounts.
Yes.
let me look them up. And if they're on LinkedIn, let me like their posts and comment on their posts. I mean, if I was in sales, a day wouldn't go by where I wouldn't be on LinkedIn. I mean, the
Yeah.
first time that I realized, I have to say, like the power of LinkedIn, I hate that phrase, but it's true, was probably in about 2018 when I was working at Shiji Review Pro, then Review Pro, and two of our biggest hitting sales directors, I spoke to them one day and they both told me the reason that I am so successful is from LinkedIn. I was like, what? LinkedIn? This is 2018, right? So I interviewed both of them and one of them had like, I don't know, 8,000 connections. The other one had like 16,000, which back then was just like, whoa, I think I had like
Of
a
course.
thousand
Yeah.
then, you know? And they told me all about what they'd been doing and how they kept up. Again, this one to many, they kept up with all their prospects, right? So their prospects and their clients and the industry in general. So they just stayed top of mind. And honestly, they were cleaning up and it was very, very powerful. And I remember going back to my CEO and saying, we've got to tell the team about this, you know, and I did like a company workshop. And I think that's really where my interest in this platform started. But back to your question about whether it has real business, you know, 2 years ago when I left corporate and became independent, I just started to post a bit more, had a bit more time, and I immediately saw how many, I mean, it was insane. And just posting, upping my posting frequency, I'd probably posted once a month as head of marketing. And then I was posting like once a week, then it was twice a week. And I was like, oh my goodness, the impressions just went like that. I was like, this is really powerful. So I started to lean into it, follow other creators, not in our industry, but other creators that you can easily find on LinkedIn to give you tips on formatting, on commenting strategy, on whatever you want. Very, very educational. And then started applying it to myself and eventually other people because every single client, webinar appearance, you know, been asked to speak at conferences, everything that I've achieved in my career over the last 2 years has been directly attributable to LinkedIn. Directly. Yeah.
Wow. I fully agree with you. I think to confirm that the reason why we are here in this
Yeah. Why
podcast
are
is
we here?
LinkedIn. So no, you're right. And I kind of relate to what you said. I've been also not super active, like let's say the last 5 years. Was active, but not really posting. But since I started my own company as well, almost a year ago, and I've been more active, similar to you. And yes, you're absolutely right. Like my network got expanded massively, and I was able to make a lot of nice connections via LinkedIn. And I'll confirm, before I worked for myself, when I was working for hotels, I got a lot of business from LinkedIn, from
Yeah.
reaching out to people on LinkedIn. But again, it's the strategy, the right time, the right comment,
Mhm.
to reach to also think. I always thought about myself about just one simple idea. If I'm sending a message to a buyer, in that case, I'm thinking like, wow, there is probably thousands of other people, sales managers or directors, sending messages also. So how can I be different? How can my message really let them, read it or connect or reply to it? And that takes time. Of course, a lot of people nowadays think like they will send directly and people will, okay, let's work together. But it doesn't work like that. It needs the time and it
Doesn't
needs
work.
really, yeah, very
Yeah,
interesting.
100%. Did you test that out for yourself then? Did you burn through loads of contacts by sending terrible outreach
I'm still,
DMs?
I'm still, I'm
Refine it.
still doing, I'm still doing it.
You can
No,
burn
but
through contacts like that though. I have to say, like I
yes,
worked with
yes,
a company who employed another company that sent mass, and this was nothing to do with me, but sent out mass, you know, DMs, cold DMs. And I honestly would just not recommend it because
no,
you burn through your contacts, you know, and it's so much better to take the time to make a genuine, honest
absolutely,
contact
absolutely.
that will last a long time and that you can support and they can support you because business is about relationships and
Yes,
friendship thing, you know, we're not selling like the latest energy drink that we just click and have it, you know, delivered to our door. We're selling partnerships or we're creating partnerships. So it's about friendship in business. Yeah.
you're absolutely right. And I'm fully agree with you. I like this mass messaging. I never did it. I do in a
Of
different
course.
direction. Like I sent a lot of people, but personally, of course. And I always really I always want to add a value. Like if I want to reach out to somebody, I want to make sure I'm adding a value to them because that's really the most important part of any business anyway, or any partnership. So it's always about the right time. And yes, sometimes you get replies, sometimes you don't get it, but I still believe that you'll get it sometime. But you just need
Yeah.
to, to stay consistent as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are busy as well. I think DMs on LinkedIn can be a little bit of a wild west. And we know that because you can have a message from somebody that you think, oh, I really want to meet up with them. And then very quickly it gets, unless you respond to it straight away or you take it to email, you forget
Yes.
to do that. Oops, before you know it, it's like number 50 in the DMs. So I think that's the other thing to remember, that if you're approaching somebody in a warm and friendly and how can I serve you rather than give me this attitude straight away, and they don't respond or they forget to respond to your last DM, like flag it up because the LinkedIn DMs can be a little bit tricky like that.
Yeah.
Things get lost. Yeah.
Where marketing must evolve, future of hospitality. But let's maybe shift the direction a little bit. Hospitality is moving fast. AI, as we talked about, becoming operational. Personalization is really important, and as we said, is the most important. Digital booking behaviors also keep shifting, and understanding the behavior of the guest and the experience and all that. Is that world becoming more challenging with the recent trends, or what do you think about it? And what actually some of the recent trends that you think are really like hot right now?
Great question. So I feel that in theory and on paper, a lot of the challenges that we've experienced in hospitality, like connecting systems, the guest journey, personalization at scale, those things, they have become easier because we now actually have the tools, i.e., AI, to help do something like that at the scale that we need to do it and that we need to do it. Now, applying that to hospitality systems is challenging. One of the biggest challenges that I'm seeing is that the thing with AI and all data systems is like it's only as good as the quality of data that you put into it. So what we've got, of course, is systems that have maybe different data sets or maybe data sets that don't quite talk to each other. But then we've got other platforms like middleware that comes along, cleans data, pushes it into another system. So I think that we're experiencing the same old challenges, but we've got this amazing opportunity now to actually employ AI. Again, challenge with employing AI is often that the decisions are made by higher management and then they're kind of dropped. This has always happened with technology. They're dropped into a team. They're perhaps not followed up on as they should be. So then we need teams to come in and help with that. I think AI is an amazing tool. I think that's going to transform the industry, is transforming the industry, but it's not a magic bullet if we don't create the support systems
Yeah,
around data integration, around team integration and team implementation, that it needs to be as effective as it can, because it can't just come in like a magic wand and fix everything. We as humans need to support it so that it can do the best that it
exactly.
can. Do you know what I mean?
That's really interesting, especially with like all the systems that are out there. You can get lost, of course, of
hmm
having so many systems. But in this world, what a great marketing success story can be in this world.
So, a great marketing success story has a great product at
Most
the heart of
important.
it, product that works. I say that and I laugh, but the thing is, if we can market a product, if it comes on board and then it churns, that's not a good success, right? So we
Right.
need a good product that's answering real pains, real needs from the industry with good support that will help that product to integrate into that company and avoid churn in the future. So to have the right support. I work in marketing, but it's also connected to sales, to product, to customer care, right? We're all pulling in the same direction. We need a good story. We need to understand where we sit in the industry. We need to understand what, our differentiators are in the industry. We need to have good
Yes.
messaging. I think maybe at some point in the industry, we thought we could get away without having really, really good messaging. But at the end of the day, you can sit in your amazing, incredible office with amazing, incredible product as long as you want. If you're not communicating that product properly in a way that your clients want to listen to and feel heard
Yeah.
and understood, Doesn't matter how good your product is. And that communication is not just your typical marketing communication, which is like your awareness, your LinkedIn, your campaigns. It's how your salespeople go to an event, right? What are your salespeople saying at an event? You know, I like to have meetings before we go to an event with me and with other GTM leaders and talk to sales about what's the theme for this event? What takeaways are you going to give to the industry? You'd be shocked at how many companies go to an event without that, and how many, even if the sales team are all on the same page, how many executives may go to an event and you have 5 different executives talking about 5 different things. And that is what
Yes.
we do not want. Okay. We do not want that. We want everybody singing off the same hymn sheet. So far we've got great product positioning, great messaging, everybody on the same page. You know, and with those elements, obviously then we can go to the second layer of which distribution channel do we use? Where are, you know, where are our buyers? Which channel do they sit on? How do we contact them? You know, how much budget do we have? Which events are we going to go to this year? We're going to open another social media channel. We're going to do YouTube. All those things for me are secondary, but you need to get the basics right. The product, the team, the communication. Communication in today's world is everything. Everything.
That's so true. That's so true. And that's connected also to their thinking of the LinkedIn page profile. Because you mentioned a good point also about people attending event or sales people attending event and their page is not reflecting whatever they're saying. So this is something definitely
Yeah,
true. I've been, yeah, it's true.
it's true. And like, so your LinkedIn profile page, again, this is not my idea. You know, I've learned it. I'm not going to coin it, but your LinkedIn profile page should be like a landing page. And when I heard this as a marketer, this really stood out to me because I've created a lot of, you know, high performing landing pages where we talk about, you know, the top fold or the middle fold, you know, and we talk about, you know, if
Mm,
people are going to scroll down, how we, with our language, with our words and visually, we pull them down the page, we put a CTA on it, a clear CTA.
yeah.
These things can be applied to your profile page. You know, your banner on your LinkedIn profile page is the, you know, the thing that people see first. You don't understand how many execs I've seen with a gray banner. And it's like, no, you can't do that. Or, you know, your banner, obviously your photo, that goes without saying, your headline, and then your about section, all of those elements on a landing page, on a LinkedIn profile page should act like a landing page. And the ultimate goal, again, thinking about it as a marketing funnel, the ultimate goal is to get somebody to contact you, right? That's your demo request if it was a landing page. So
Definitely.
your email on there, put your email in your about section, and just make it as easy as you can for your prospect, your potential client to contact you.
I agree with you because it's quite important. And for me also in terms of when it comes to the sales part, it's like the first image. So when you meet somebody for the first time, the first impression, this is your LinkedIn first image. So maybe I'm not the best to say that. My profile needs little tweaks of here, from here to there. But I also learned that, and I agree with you, that it's really important to kind of align as well, align with the company, align with what the message of the company and what the message that you're sending, because sometimes you see this that it doesn't reflect anything. So really interesting. Wow,
Yeah. Yeah,
we can
it
we
can.
can talk forever about this part,
Oh, we
definitely.
could talk, we could go on and on. I'm happy to always give more tips. You know, I think kind of maybe one of the last things is one of the other reasons that I detect why people are a little bit hesitant on LinkedIn is because people are afraid to kind of say, this is me, I'm ready, this is how I want to position myself, because they feel like it's a rigid, inflexible, you know, statement to the world, right? It's
Mm,
not. You can update your LinkedIn profile every single day if you really want to. You can
that's true.
update your
That's
banner
true.
an infinite number of times. The important thing is that you're moving on and you're refining who you are and what you want to be known for. And that not only can, but it should transform and change over your career. It can even radically change. Some people pivot from being in corporate to being, you know, a coach. That's
Yeah.
okay. It doesn't mean that you should have never had a profile that said you were in corporate. That's what you were there. It's absurd when you shine the light on it, but it does stop some people from saying, this is me. Because they're like, well, what if that's not me in 2 months' time? That's fine. Change it. We'll
Yes,
change
that's
it. It's
true.
okay. and we can always improve and evolve. We're allowed to.
That's really interesting and very educational. I'm gonna take that advice. I'm gonna check my LinkedIn
Yeah.
after. But we're almost in the end. Before we end out, I just want a few quick, fast questions and also to learn from you. Maybe one messaging mistake you see maybe weekly that people do and maybe people should avoid.
Not add a CTA to their post if they want somebody to do something.
Okay, good.
By the way, a CTA it can be comment on my post. It can be, was this helpful? It can be join my newsletter. It can be anything. It can be something, sort of harder, like join my newsletter, or softer, like did this resonate? But like get somebody to do something, because we don't just post without anybody wanting anybody to do anything. So add a CTA.
Nice. Really, really nice to hear. And what would be a best advice for somebody want to make sure their personal branding is visible?
Comment, and comment strategically, comment on big accounts that have a lot of reach. If you want more visibility, try and be up at the top. I've had comments that have had like over 9,000 impressions, because I've been on the right account at the right time. You can see, how many impressions you have on comments now, which is great. Comment on your peers. So curate your network, share the love. And then if you have a client list, comment on your clients. So have like your 3 commenting areas. But commenting is the absolute best and fastest way to get awareness.
Nice. What is the best advice for a brand that want to scale? Like, what should something has to be a priority for them, including myself?
Founder-led thought leadership. I feel like I keep saying it, but it's just the most effective thing. You have to have a story. You have to put it out there. You have to connect with people. People want to buy from people. They want to understand the brand. Be yourself.
Nice. Really interesting. My last question of the podcast, and I always ask this question. What does level up means to you?
Be the best person. Bring the best to the world. Your family, your kids, your friends, every day.
Nice. Really nice. I really enjoyed the exchange. We can talk forever about this, definitely, especially about LinkedIn. This is a world.
Absolutely. Anytime.
But really, really, Zoe, thank you for your time today. It was really interesting for the insights and tips. Really.
But I created finally recently a free downloadable PDF with tips for somebody's profile page. So if anyone's interested, I could drop it in the comments.
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead. We'll share that as well in the comments. And of course, I will share your details so people can reach out to you as well. But thank you for your time. It was really inspiring. Wish you all the best. We're going to stay in touch, of course. But it was nice to have you today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And I wish you all the best in growing your business. And I'll see
Thank you
you
so much.
on the LinkedIn feed.
Yes, we will. We will. Absolutely.
Every conversation can and will elevate you. It's where real talk meets real growth. After